When I was 19 years old, the camper I lived in at the time flipped off the road. It rolled down the road with the truck, rolled down, and kind of stopped on a hill. I lost everything, lost the truck, lost the camper, everything that was in the camper, pretty much lost most of it, lost it, was scattered all over the road, left behind. Crawled back in the truck, realized I was about to miss a meal, was getting ready for show, crawled back in the truck, found my protein shake, mixed it in a gallon water jug, and got a ride to the towing guy's place, to the towing people's place, and worked out in the little bank. They had a little gym set up there. I'm pretty sure they thought I was insane as hell. Just lost everything, and my only concern was eating and getting in my workout because I was getting ready for show. 20 years old, I entered my first show. Won the first show I entered, and I lived in a barn for a couple of years, a year and a half, 2 years. Lived in a barn, and I ended up living in that camper, but ended up still working out in that barn. No heat, no AC. Minimal equipment, snakes everywhere, 6 snakes at least crawling around in there at one time, probably a hell of a lot more than that hiding in their small barn. So I worked out for a couple years. People got these huge goals. They want to be a pro bodybuilder, they want to enter shows, win shows, be a top pro bodybuilder, and they can't even stick with the diet. They can't even stick with their diet during holidays. They think that's such a difficult concept, just to stick with your diet and to get all your workouts in. And you got these huge goals and you can't even stick with basic things and master these basic things, and you expect these huge goals to happen. The things you're doing, the things you need to be doing to reach your goals, and the things you're doing, there's a really big difference between the two. There's a huge difference, and you think the goals are going to happen one day. It's just going to happen by keep doing what you're doing, and they're just going to happen. It's probably not going to work that way. There's a lot of things you've got to get down, a lot of things you've got to really master doing. You got to get your meals. You got to eat your meals. You can't miss meals. You can't be skipping meals. You can't be slacking on meals. You can't be skipping days at the gym because you don't feel like it. That's complete crap. And you think it's gonna, you're gonna be a pro athlete by that? You're kidding. You got to do things that other people aren't doing. Figuring things outside the gym also, things that people aren't thinking about. If you want to be the best in the world at it, you got to do things, you got to come up with things, you got to come up with strategies, recovery tactics, you got to do things that other people are not doing or not thinking of because they don't care enough to think about it. You got to really think about things, think about the way you're doing. Is this working, and make changes. You got a lot of things that you need to be doing different before you make these huge goals happen that you think are just going to happen. You got to see it happening, believe it's going to happen before anybody else has a clue. You got to know it's going to happen. You got to know it's going to happen because you know you're going to do what it takes. You got to know it's going to happen when everything is telling you there's not a chance in hell it's going to happen. Look where you're at. Look what people think what you're doing. Look what nobody's going to get it. Your friends aren't going to get it. You're not going to have the same friends you had. They're not going to understand what you're doing. They're not going to get what you're doing. They're not going to support what you're doing. They're going to laugh at what you're doing. A lot of people are going to laugh at what you're doing. It's not going to make sense to them, and that's got to be okay. And it will be okay. You'll get used to that. You'll get used to that. But there's a lot of things you got to change doing before it's just going to happen, and you think it's going to happen. You got to see it's happening before anybody has a clue. You got to know it's going to happen because you know you're going to keep making changes. You know you're going to do what it's going to take to get you there. You absolutely know your goal is going to happen before anybody else has a clue. And one day they're going to be sitting in front of their television years later looking at you and thinking you got genetics, you got luck, you got something that you have that they don't have, but you set out to make that happen when nobody believed in you. Nobody had a clue that you were going to make it happen. Everybody was was against, just did not see it happen for you, but you knew it was going to happen. You knew it was going to happen before anybody had a clue, and you made it happen. You made it happen because you knew it was going to happen, and they're going to be sitting there one day thinking all kinds of things, genetic luck, and the fact is you started out right where they did, and you were determined to make it happen. And you did things that they weren't doing, they weren't willing to do, they weren't willing to think about, but you were.